Professor Johnson, you're recognized for 5 minutes. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I find it frightening and also hard to believe that we're having this conversation in general and that you're having a hearing on this matter. Among other things, I'm the former chief economist of the International Monetary Fund. And I would remind you that the United States is not just the center of the world's economy. Our financial assets, our government debt, serves as a linchpin of the world's financial system. In 1948 and 1968, foreigners held as reserves about U.S. government debt worth about 2% of our GDP. Their reserves now, their rainy day funds, the basis of their financial calculations, are now at least 15% of our GDP. These are assets they hold willingly. They hold them because this has in the past been regarded as the world's safest asset. You are calling this into question when you raise the issue of not increasing the debt ceiling. This, to the world's investors, is just unbelievable that you would even have this conversation. Could I show, please, the first slide? I testified before this committee, and I made these exact same points in the summer of 2011. And the point I tried to communicate to you then was that if you continue to have a confrontation around the debt ceiling, you would create an unprecedented level of uncertainty regarding economic policy in the United States. This chart is taken from the work of Professors Baker, Bloom, and Davis. The full reference is in my written testimony. And they have measured policy uncertainty since 1985, not, I would say, at my behest or particularly focusing on the debt ceiling, but what do they find? What do you see in this chart? Matching exactly with what Mr. Levin said at the beginning, August 2011 stands out as the moment since 1985 when we had the greatest uncertainty, the most lack of clarity for everyone, not just for the government, everyone in the private sector. Consumers, businesses cannot make decisions if they don't know what's going to happen to the government debt. And listening to the testimony just now, I was further frightened by the extent to which leading experts disagree or vary in opinion with regard to exactly what may happen if we are to breach or come up against or somehow play with this debt ceiling. The U.S. has never threatened to default, not since the 1780s. That has been a key element of U.S. fiscal policy since the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. That's actually a lesson that President Madison learned the hard way in and after the War of 1812. The importance of being very careful with your public debt and very careful with all communications around your public debt management. If you don't raise the debt ceiling now, or if you postpone this confrontation, if you say every 60, 90, or 100 days we're going to again have the same kind of conversation about the debt ceiling, you will continue to have this sort of spike in policy uncertainty. You will continue to undermine the private sector. You will continue to delay investment and to reduce employment relative to what it would be otherwise. I urge you, I understand you have many difficult fiscal conversations to come. I appreciate that. I realize there's a range of reasonable opinion here. But I urge you, as I urged you in the summer of 2011, take the debt ceiling off the table. Do it for our sakes. Do it for the world economy. Do it for the global financial system, which is still not recovered from the problems of 2007, 2008. If you want to destabilize the European economy, if you want to put pressure on all those sovereigns in Europe who are right now struggling fiscally, then you should have exactly this confrontation, pushing up the yield on risky assets around the world. But you don't want to do that. You don't want to destabilize Europe. You don't want another downgrade of U.S. debt. You don't want another spike in policy uncertainty. Please take the debt ceiling once and for all completely off the table. Thank you.